The Conspit H.AO Hub is the most comprehensive sim racing steering wheel hub I've ever tested in terms of functions. Conspit has been pushing forward in the sim racing sector for some time now. Of course, the question now is if the hub with its 3 steering wheel variants can also convince in terms of quality. I will analyze and test this for you in this detailed review video.
Let's Go Race, the channel for virtual motorsport.
Hello and welcome to a new video on my YouTube channel. First eine Info to my German-speaking viewers. Dieses Video ist auch mit deutschem Kommentar verfügbar. Den Link zum deutschsprachigen Video findet ihr in der Videobeschreibung. This video is about the Conspit H.AO Hub, which I will test with the 3 available and different Conspit steering wheels. The Conspit Hub has some features that are rather unusual for such steering wheel hubs. I will also discuss the topic of SimHub, because the hub with its large number of LEDs is also compatible with SimHub. First, I will show you the hub and the steering wheels in detail in this video. I will talk about the individual components installed and included in the package, say something about the materials, and explain how the steering wheel feels. Then, I will give a summary of the whole package. And at the end of the video, I will do a test drive with the steering wheel in the form of my triple screen onboard videos in my motion simulator. The Conspit H.AO package includes the hub, a connection cable, shifter and clutch pedals, an adapter for screwing on the hub, several sticker sets, tools, screws, nuts, and the instructions. There are currently exactly 3 steering wheels from Conspit that are designed for this hub. I will go into the 3 steering wheel variants in more detail later. And how you can use steering wheels from other manufacturers. Let's start with the materials and the technical data of the hub. Rarely has more carbon been used on the hub than on the Conspit H.AO Hub. The front plate of the hub is a 3mm thick carbon plate with a matte finish. The housing is a full carbon shell formed using the pre-preg molding process with a matte finish. The full carbon shell not only ensures that the housing is very stable and durable, but also offers a lower weight thanks to the use of carbon. The housing has a width of 195mm and the height of 168mm. The width is increased by the pedals that I will be mounting later. The complete housing with all the pedals and the screw-on adapter weighs around 900 grams or 2 pounds, which is really not much when you consider how many components are built into the hub. Certain components, such as the shifter arms and clutch pedals, are made of aluminium. The cover of the display and the LEDs are also made of aluminium. And the button guards are also made of matte black anodized aluminium. All components are very well manufactured. The built-in components make the hub a device that is not only extremely stable and of high quality, but also looks really good. Now I will start with the functions on the front of the hub, starting with the buttons. A total of 10 push buttons with backlighting are installed. The top 2 buttons are slightly larger than the other 8 buttons. The button caps are all made of translucent plastic with a smooth and matte surface. The buttons can also be customized with the sticker kit. 2 colors are available here. The stickers have a very good quality and are very sturdy. I really like the resistance of the buttons. You first have a short, very noticeable strong resistance before you reach the click area of the button. The resistance of the buttons is very tight and gives a clearly noticeable haptic and acoustic feedback. The click also sounds like a very high quality push button. The button guard of the top 2 buttons is perfectly sized. No one should have any problems pressing the buttons all the way through, so you don't will bump into the button guard. I will show you how to change the background lighting of the buttons later in the video, together with the Conspit Link software and the internal steering wheel menu. Now I will continue with the 2 toggle switches. The toggle switches each have 2 functions. Pressing up is one function and pressing down is one function. The toggle switches always return to the starting position. They therefore only send a short signal to the PC if the toggle switch is not pressed for longer, just like a push button. The resistance is suitable for a toggle switch of this size. The resistance is actually comparable to all the other high-end steering wheels I have tested. On the front, we have 2 purple-colored rotary switches. The 2 rotary switches can be used as a position rotary switch with 12 positions and also as an endless rotary switch with a clockwise signal and an anti-clockwise signal. The mode in which we want to use the respective rotary switch can soon be set via the software. The update to change the rotary switch mode will be released with one of the next Conspit Link software updates. The 2 rotary switches have 12 positions in which they engage. Both rotary switches are infinitely rotatable. The resistance of the rotary switches is very tight. The engagement points are very easy to feel and they make a clearly audible clicking noise when turned. The rotary knobs have a good size and are very easy to grip with 2 fingers. rotary knobs are made of purple anodized aluminum and have a matte and smooth surface. The rotary knobs look very good and are very well made. The hub has 4 additional rotary switches on the outside. Each of the 4 rotary switches has 10 positions in which it engages. The rotary switches are each recognized on the PC with 2 signals. Turning clockwise is one function and turning anti-clockwise is one function. All 4 rotary switches are infinitely rotatable. The rotary knobs are made of anodized aluminum and have a matte and smooth surface. The rotary switches look very good and are very well made. The rotary switches have a lower resistance compared to the purple rotary switches. But the resistance is strong enough and provides very good haptic feedback when turning. Even when driving with motorsport gloves, the haptic feedback can still be felt. However, not as strong as with the purple rotary switches. The rotary switches can be easily used with 2 fingers or with 1 finger thanks to the notches and the size of the knob. The noise level of these 4 rotary switches is also somewhat muted and rather quiet, as you can hear. Now we come to the 2 funky switch joysticks. Here we have 7 functions. The first function is the push function. Here the joystick works like a push button. The push function is very tight, has only 1 point of resistance, has a short push travel and makes a nice and audible clicking noise. The joystick can also be pushed to the left, up, right and down. The resistance of the forward function is tight and very easy to feel. The clicking noise is also very audible. Compared to the forward function of other steering wheel manufacturers such as Cube Controls or Usher Racing, you can see that the push distance is in the respective direction slightly longer. This is nothing negative or positive, I just wanted to mention it. This is mainly due to the fact that the joystick sticks out a little higher. I find that the operation of the forward function works particularly well and easily. With cheap steering wheels, it is often the case with such joysticks that it is difficult to press in a certain direction because there is no guidance. This is completely different here. Just because you push the joystick a little bit crooked, you don't have to worry about pushing the joystick in the wrong direction. The guidance of the forward function is very precise and straightforward. The joystick can also be used as a rotary switch. The rotary switch function has 13 positions in which it engages. The rotary switch function is recognized on the PC with 2 signals. Turning clockwise is one function and turning anti-clockwise is one function. The rotary switch function can be turned infinitely. The rotary switch function engages noticeably in each of the 30 positions. The resistance and the engagement points of the individual positions is very tight and very well chosen for the size of the rotary knob. In summary, the joystick is a very good and helpful function with which you can, for example, navigate in the menu, navigate in the pit menu during the race, or make settings in the iRacing black box. Something very special for a steering wheel hub is the LED RGB bar with 9 LEDs and a 2.99-inch display. The 9 LEDs and the RGB backlighting of the 10 buttons will be configured via the Conspit Link software. The brightness of the LED bar and the buttons can be configured here. Here we can select the color that all 10 push buttons should have. But we can also set the colors differently for each individual button. In the Conspit software, we are currently limited to these predefined colors, but you can also work around this. I will show you how in a moment. The same applies to the LED bar. Here we can also make some settings in the lower area to personalize the LED bar. When you are finished, don't forget to save the changes on the steering wheel. Of course, many people are now wondering whether you can use SimHub. And the answer is yes. To use SimHub, the SimHub function must first be activated in the Conspit Link software. Now, the settings of the LED bar and the LED button backlighting are controlled by SimHub and no longer by Conspit Link. In SimHub, there is still no official integration of the hub, as with many other steering wheels that I have tested. But that will come soon. Currently, you just have to upload a file to SimHub, which you can get from Conspit. Then, the hub is automatically recognized by SimHub. On the main page in SimHub, we can adjust the brightness of our LEDs. We can also switch between our LED profiles and we can create new ones. Here, you can make all the settings and configurations for which SimHub is so well known. You're unlimited in colors, you can create flashing signals if you activate the pit speed limiter, for example, you can configure a spotter and much more. Of course, the same applies to the LED bar. With SimHub, you have almost unlimited possibilities. You can even configure a rotary switch or buttons with which you can adjust the brightness while driving. Now I come to the dashboard. The dashboard has a very good resolution and beautiful colors. Unfortunately, the dashboard cannot be used with SimHub. Here you are limited to the pre-configured dashboards from Conspit. By the way, you can switch between the display layouts using the rotary switch at the bottom right. In addition, based on January 2025, there are currently only 3 dashboards. However, I was promised by Conspit that more dashboards are still to come. And in my opinion, this is also necessary, because there are still some informations missing that you would like to have on a dashboard which are not yet included. For example, a position display, the brake balance, or a detailed timing dashboard. It's a small display, but I think it's big enough to show the most important informations. The main dashboard layout already shows a lot of informations, fits on one side, and it is still large enough. Apart from the fact that you can't use it with SimHub, I'm happy with the dashboard so far. There were no dropouts in my tests, no delay, and the general performance of the display was very good. Now I continue on the back. Here I start with the 2 push-pull pedals. As the name suggests, the 2 push-pull pedals can be pushed and pulled, so you have 2 different signals per pedal that are sent to the PC. The pedals are made of silver anodized aluminum and have a smooth, non-reflective surface like the knobs on the rotary switches. The resistance of the pedals is normal with a tendency towards a higher resistance, and differs significantly from the resistance of the magnetic shifters. First, you have a relatively long, increasing resistance before the clicking resistance is reached, at which point the signal is sent to the PC. The main resistance is generated by a spring, as can be seen inside the housing. I'm really a fan of these pedals because you can reach and operate them very quickly, also because of their position right next to the shifter pedals. I use the left pedal, for example, to adjust the brake balance. This allows me to adjust the brake balance several times during a lap in order to have the perfect brake balance in different sectors of the track. The position makes this super quick, as if you were operating the shifter pedals. Press 2 times quickly before the corner to adjust the brake balance 2 clicks forward, and pull 2 times quickly after the corner to adjust the brake balance back again. It's great that you have this option, and I think many more steering wheels should have these pedals. 2 different clutch pedals are included for the clutches. Both are made of carbon, are 3 mm thick, and have a matte surface. The pedals have different lengths and can be mounted on the side you want. I think the different length is primarily so that you have a choice. You simply put a pedal you like better on the side that requires more precision. The pedals don't have slotted holes for screwing on, so they can therefore not be moved. The clutches have a high resistance. There are steering wheels with a higher and some with a lower resistance. The clutches on the Conspit Hub are in the middle of the range in terms of resistance. With this high resistance, I think you have a little more sensitivity than if the clutches had the lighter resistance. You can also really feel the difference between the pedals of different lengths if you concentrate on them. So it makes sense that two lengths of pedals are included. The clutches can be calibrated using the Conspit Link software. The software is also used to set how the clutches should behave. In dual mode, each clutch is separate. Each clutch therefore sends its own signal and can be assigned a separate function. For example, throttle and brake if you wish. With manual, both send the same signal. If you configure the clutch in the simulation, it doesn't matter which clutch you use. With set byte point, we can use the clutches as a master and slave clutch and set the byte point. Manual mode is also activated here at the same time. This allows us to use the left or right clutch over the entire clutch shovel when starting. To switch to master and slave clutch mode, the clutches must be pulled at the same time. The set byte point is then also shown on the display. However, unlike other manufacturers, it is not necessary to define one of the two clutches as the slave and master clutch. The software recognizes which clutch is released first and then defines the clutches as master and slave clutch. So you don't have to remember which is the slave and which is the master clutch. Now on with the magnetic shifters. The pedals can be screwed to the front or back of the aluminium mount. The bracket also has a slotted hole to allow the pedals to be moved further outwards. The magnetic shifters have a tight and crisp resistance and provide audible acoustic feedback. Thanks to their generous length, the pedals cover a large area in which you can press the pedals. Thanks to the use of carbon, they also yield very little at the outermost point. The pedals can also be calibrated in the software in case there are problems with the signal being transmitted to the PC when the pedals are pressed. That will be all the buttons and switches that can be shown. Now I'm going to mount the different steering wheels. There are 3 variants of steering wheels designed for this hub. The round steering wheel has a diameter of 320 mm. In depth, the steering wheel has a relatively constant thickness. In the thumb index finger area, the circumference is about 11 centimeters. There are a few millimeters less at the top and the bottom. The steering wheel, which is flattened at the top and bottom, also has a width of 320 millimeters. The steering wheel has different widths in the gripping area, as you can see. It is also not difficult to recognize that it is somewhat more adapted to the hands. It is slightly thicker in the lower section and is slightly inflated at the corners. This makes it easier to hold when driving in tight corners. In the thumb index finger area, the circumference is just under 11 centimeters. And in the palm area, it is just over 11 centimeters. The steering wheel with the opening facing upwards has a width of 295 millimeters and is therefore smaller than the other two. The steering wheel also has different widths in the gripping area. However, the steering wheel is only slightly wider at the bottom than in the gripping area, and is not as inflated at the bottom corner as the previous steering wheel. In the thumb index finger area, the circumference is just under 11 centimeters. And in the palm area, it is just over 11 centimeters. The steering wheels all have a smooth leather surface and are perforated in certain areas. The surface is soft and feels very comfortable on the hands. The quality of all 3 steering wheels is really very good, on a par with my Momo, OMP or Sparco steering wheels. The seams, curves and ends are also very well finished. The steering wheels are all offset, but the round steering wheel only very slightly. The aluminium plate has a thickness of 3.8 millimeters and has a matte black surface. The aluminium plate is very stable and has no noticeable flags. The steering wheels are mounted using the 3 screws that are included in the scope of delivery. with the flattened steering wheel and the steering wheel with the open top, the button of the funky switch must first be removed to mount the steering wheel. Because of the steering wheel's offset shape, there are naturally different distances to the pedals, rotary switches and buttons. However, the distances are within limits and you can easily reach all the functions. But of course, there is a noticeable difference between the steering wheels, which you can see clearly. In my test drives, all three steering wheels had a very good handling and were very good and comfortable to grip, even during tests that lasted several hours. For me, however, the round steering wheel had the best handling. It just felt a little bit better in the hand. I can't describe exactly why, it just felt slightly more comfortable, which I hadn't expected because it is much less adapted to the hand than the other two. Of course, this can be different from person to person because everyone has different hands and preferences. If you compare the two others with each other, you can see the difference in diameter. 320 for the flattened one and 295 for the open one. You just have to decide what you like better in terms of diameter and shape and what kind of car you want to drive. With this type of steering wheels, you rarely change your grip position, and if you do, then you only grip the bottom corner. Both were very convincing here, and you had no difficulty holding the steering wheels even with high force feedback. The hub is also compatible with other steering wheels, but then you have to dispense some features. As you can see, the funky switches and the toggle switches are in the way. To solve this, the complete elements can simply be removed and the steering wheel can be screwed on. It's good, of course, because we can use any steering wheel, but in this case we have to do it without the two elements. I recommend using the Conspit steering wheels if possible, because they are also very good and you can use the full range. But it's also good to know that you can use other good steering wheels, but with limitations. The data transfer of the functions takes place via the pins which transmit the data on contact. By the way, the elements can simply be plugged back in and are magnetic. They will sit firmly when the steering wheel is screwed on, as the steering wheel presses the elements into place. To connect the steering wheel to the PC, an approximately 1.8 meter long and very robust USB cable is included. The spiral cable range is about 27 centimeters when not pulled, which guarantees a high degree of flexibility. The cable is connected to the back of the steering wheel. The connection also snaps in firmly into place there so that the connection does not come loose. The aluminium screw-on adapter is then screwed on so that the steering wheel can be screwed onto a quick release. Quick releases with a 70mm and 50mm bolt cycle diameter can be screwed onto the screw-on adapter. The holes are all through holes and suitable for M5 screws. With the hub and the quick release that you use, the cable is also clamped at the same time as it is inserted between the groove and the screw-on adapter. The cable cannot be disconnected from the steering wheel without removing the quick release. Now for another feature to make using the steering wheel a little more relaxed and flexible. The steering wheel has an integrated menu with which we can make various settings on the steering wheel without having to open the software. Not even a connection to the PC is necessary. To do this, pull the two gray pedals until the LEDs light up. By the way, the steering wheel is not connected to the PC, only to a smartphone power supply unit. Now we can make various settings. For example, you can change the button colors and brightness. We can also change the brightness of the display and the LED bar. When we are finished, we have to end the mode by pressing the silver pedals. That's all there is to say about the hub and the steering wheels. Now we come to the final conclusion and the costs. The Conspit H.AO Hub and the Conspit steering wheels are now available in various stores around the world, so you don't have to import anything. The stores have already done that. On the Conspit website you can find the right dealer in your country or the dealer who ships to your country. Because there are different stores in different countries, the prices are also different, so I cannot say an exact price. You can get the Conspit H.AO Hub in most stores for around 575 to 580 euros. The steering wheels are available for 90 to 99 euros. As I said, so one steering wheel and a hub, the price is usually between 630 to 680 euros. And I can only say that this is an incredibly good price for what is on offer. We have more than enough functions. We have RGB buttons, Rotary switches, toggled switches, and even funky switch joysticks. On the back, we not only have shifter pedals, but also two clutch pedals and two push-pull shifters. In addition, the steering wheels and the hub look very good and are extremely well made. On top of that, they have been manufactured using high-end materials. We even have a display and an LED bar, which both impressed me and will get even more content over time. But the most important thing for me is always the haptic and acoustic feedback of the buttons, rotary switches, shifters and other functions. And that's where the hub with a large proportion of the functions is actually comparable with high-end steering wheels, of which some cost twice as much. From my side, there's definitely a buy recommendation here, and I can already confirm that I will test more products from Conspit for you. I'm already looking forward to it. You will find out what I will be testing in the future. pedals will probably also be included. I hope you enjoyed the video and I was able to answer all your questions. If you have any further questions, please write them in the comments. A link to the steering wheels and the hub is also in the video description. Now we come to the promised trouble screen onboard videos in my motion simulator. Have fun with them and see you next time.